All right, Since I've Been Loving You. Now I have the camera this far away because I want you to see the bass drum, the pedal and stuff. Since I've Been Loving You, there's two. Obviously, you have the studio version, and then you have, I personally think my favorite version of Since I've Been Loving You. Hi there. My personal favorite version of Since I've Been Loving You is the one on BBC Sessions, which I think is from the Paris Theatre in London, I guess, like 71, like April of 71. And I think, Bonham playing all that stuff, he's just on fire. He still has like that edge that he had, like when you see like the Royal Albert Hall. He plays a certain way. By the time like 72, 73 rolled around, I don't know, maybe it was the drugs he was using or whatever. He just kind of he was like Bonham light a little bit, even though he was still a monster. But in any case, so Since I've Been Loving You, it's a straight blues beat. And I'll do a couple of things they do on the recording. But, you got to listen to that that BBC session one toward the end, the very last climax. He plays Jimmy Page throws like I don't even know what you call it. It almost sounds like, like almost what you'd play sort of on like an Italian guitar, Anyway, Bonham's just playing straight under it, but he's doubling up the bass drum, and it's just such an impact. But anyway, so the studio version, there's a lot of things. By the way, drags all over the joint on the studio recording. And you can hear his bass drum squeak, the pedal squeak the entire time. Anyway, so, there's a lot of, he did a thing too at that time too, where he would sometimes, and you hear it on the live recordings of Since I've Been Loving You and on Dazed Confused, and maybe the compressors in the studio really didn't allow it or didn't, where he'll be like, he'd really accent certain notes, for like a real pompous, sort of thunderous effect, Anyway, so you have, like. So, God, it's been a while since I've done that, so. So there's that lick. So I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. And then there's where the guitar goes. So. It's just a classic, hold the beat off till the next. And then, those points, it's so cool in this recording where he really drags. A lot of these beats really are dragged. In fact, right before that part, right before the, to me, that is either a huge drag or it's an edit. If you listen to that, I guarantee if somebody was able to sneak out the master tapes, kind of like the In Through the Outdoor stuff, on that recording, God, I always wish they did like a classic albums for Zeppelin where they could just bring down everything but the drums in that point. But it totally sounds like with Bonham at that point where he's like, so here we are, playing the beat, right? And that's like, that one beat, that one downbeat before that where he does that change I played before, there's such a drag on that note, but you don't notice it, it just has such a cool effect. But anyway, so back to the studio version of the song. It's really all just a straight, blues beat. So again, we have the. And then there's the. But the whole vibe with Bonham, especially in this song, especially with the shuffle, with the triplet feel, a 3/4 or a 6/8, is there's always below the surface. Whenever he play a song like that, there was always a doubling effect. And I'll explain what I mean, like which was always kind of like going on in his mind. So like. And was always bubbling below the surface when Bonham would play this stuff, which was always cool. Especially like toward the end of the song, like those crescendos, like where Robert Plant's wailing, you know. So. In fact, that is a classic Bonham thing. Which is like the gallop on Achilles. That groove he puts all over the place. In the triplet feel, songs like when you hear the live stuff, you know, Since I've Been Loving You, I think he even does it in the studio version. So it goes like, so you just double it up instead of playing. Just double it. You know, it's a little more of a boogie, like. And he was the monster doing that. He did that all the time. Again, and I think I did this in another video I did on the double foot. Practice this. And then he'd always throw in a. Soft. And then he dance around it. You know, so he'd lead that into a downbeat, into a fill. And then also on the end of the live Since I've Been Loving You, again, I'm making these videos sort of, you know, people have specific questions, I can, you know, sort of redo them, or I guess you can re-edit now and YouTube. They have a thing now where you can actually edit after the fact, so I can switch stuff around. But in any case, the fill at the end of Since I've Been Loving You, or the groove, again, this would be really helpful if I could play it a little. I'll figure out a way to do that, I guess. I just don't want, again, the Atlantic people having a butt rash, which they would, apparently. So, but anyway, so at the end of the live version on the BBC, there's a part where Bonham's like, so. So he's still playing the beat, so it's still except he's doubling it. So however, I am losing the count as you go back into it. But so that's what he's doing there, and Jimmy Page is playing a real high. And that I think is one of the coolest things in the freaking world. And of course Bonham would have, you know, stuff with the hi-hat. There's nothing like a 15-inch pair of Sound Edge hats. I do not have the Sound Edge on here. But I mean, like the, you know, there's a certain, na 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 na. Just like, it's just real like a, everything's just triplets and eighth notes, meaning, you know, straight fours versus threes. Like in a three song, like in a 3/4 or a shuffle, he'll do you know 16ths. So like, you know, but then he'd put it around the drums, like he'd do a paradiddle, like. Except if the floor tom was here, you know, like he did tons of that. You know, so anyway, any questions, any specific questions, just give me the times, preferably on YouTube. You know, I mean, it's a lot easier for me to just go to YouTube and be like, all right, where's he talking about in which particular video, than, you know, to go out in the car, to, you know, bust out my CD if I have it, you know. But that's it. And then rim shots are very important too, especially since I've been loving you. Yeah. So. or you have. So, again, I would say, I'm trying to think, and Since I've Been Loving You, I think there's another thing in the studio. Anyway, listen, if you get a chance, if you listen to that recording, you can hear a Speed King squeak the whole time. It's amazing. Once you hear it, it's like you can never not hear it again. Anyway, I'll post these and just give me some specific questions, and I'll try to get back to them specifically.